Agreed. I'm gonna go with a 5 on this too. I mean, it's okay, but it's missing that factor.
It was supposed to be the next movie to bring in the next wave
Bring
of
back
Mafia.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, but he just didn't do it.
All right, so here's a good one. Now this one, it's kind of hard. I don't know why. I was reluctant to even throw it in there, but it is, up there. It's rated up there as one of the highest mob movies, because it's old school. Is Gangs of New York with Leonardo DiCaprio. I think it's a good film. I enjoyed it a lot. It's kind of hard for me to get through it. I won't lie. I mean, it's kind of a long movie. It kind of drags out, but it's interesting. It's a movie that you just kind of can't stop watching. I love the bad guy in it. The main villain. I forget his name. Sorry.
Bill the Butcher.
Yeah,
Bill the Butcher. Yeah, Bill the Butcher. Love him. But I don't know. This one's kind of up in the air for me, you guys. I want to get your guys' rating before I even rate this one, because I personally I like it, but then I don't like it. But I don't even consider it really a mob film. I consider it more of a gang film, I guess you could say. It is Gangs in New York, but it's up there in mob movies. I'm looking at it right now on every website. They're like one of the top rated mob films is Gangs of New York.
Yeah, Gangs of New York. That's a controversial one, especially now. Man, that film when it came out was hot. I loved it. You had Liam Neeson starting the film off, so you knew where it was gonna be. Daniel Day-Lewis as Bill the Butcher is probably one of the most notorious villains of this era of any type of film. You can go check the list if you don't believe me. If you check villains of the 2000s and up, Bill the Butcher will be probably in that top 10, if not top 5. The acting was superb, phenomenal. It pretty much put Leonardo DiCaprio back on the map to kind of propel himself in the films that he was in the late 2000s until today. I mean, that's a controversial topic too, but I mean, hey, he wasn't doing too much until that film. It was good, but I definitely would you really count it as a mob film? It was more of they were just gangs fighting. And I guess it's mob because they were sort of organized crime, but really were they? Because they had honor among each other. It's a very odd film. I don't know how else to say it. I like it and I don't. I think I would agree with you.
Honestly, it's like how we keep saying it's teetering. It's right on that bubble. Honestly, I think of it more as a gang movie than a mob movie. I love Daniel Day-Lewis as Bill the Butcher. He was great in that role. He made that on his own, and he's actually a true, actual American figure back from that time.
Yeah,
that was him. I kind of love John C. Reilly as the police constable.
Yeah, he's awesome. John C. Reilly's great and everything.
He's great.
And I think what kind of has them teetering that it's a mob movies because how Americans have that kind of pull with the cops is.
It's the beginning of what they're just basically getting to the beginning of what a mob is, but it's
how mob was in American time during that period.
Yeah,
I think that's why a lot of people think of this as a mobster movie because of that kind of key element in the whole movie.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, just because they're not wearing suits and stuff like that doesn't mean they're not mobsters.
Well, Americans dress really nice. They were all fancy and classy.
They were classy. They were respectful to each other. I mean, but they were on opposite sides. That's what he said. Remember, that's why he killed him in the beginning. He was like, "Don't touch him." This guy was honorable. That was like mobster mentality.
Other thing is, it was too long. I think it was over a 2-hour movie, if I remember correctly.
With that being said, I want to say the movie We Own the Night. With Joaquin Phoenix, Mark Wahlberg, Eva Mendes, Danny Hodge. It's a movie about a nightclub owner and his brother's a cop and he's trying to remain neutral between, trying to save his brother from the Russian Mafia, or Russian Mafia hitman, I should say. I thought it was a good film. I think a lot of people really didn't give this one a chance when it first came out. I mean, I think because from what I remember, a lot of people said they didn't like it because it was slow.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it's good aspects of a good mob movie is a slow burn. I actually like that. You got that Casino. Casino's a movie with a slow burn, but it's good. I definitely see why people didn't like it. But the reason I'm even kind of putting it out there is because compared to a lot of the other mob movies that have come out nowadays, and this is what we're talking about in this era, in 2000 and up, I actually think it's one of the better mob films to ever come around.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I thought it was all right. I didn't really see anything about it at the time either. I was one of those people where I thought it's too slow just because, again, the acting is really big. Like, it's key to every film, and this is no exception. It just didn't hold up to me. Like, if I watch it, I'm not going to expect a classic, but I do want to see a good mobster film. It's going to hit on some points, but most of the time I'm just like, okay, it's just dragging just for the sake of having a movie. And, that takes me right out of the element. I mean, yeah, it was cool. I like that it was like 1988, correct? New York.
So.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was gritty. It's New York, but I felt like, it just got a little too slow for me. I'd give it probably a good 7.
And honestly, I love this movie. I do agree with you. I love the slow burn to this. Yes, it's heavily casted with a lot of good actors and actresses in it, but it makes it work. It definitely does. And I even just watched it recently again because it was on my mind. Like, I haven't seen this movie. Just Joaquin Phoenix playing the brother in that nightclub owner. You see that line when how can I stay or keep my allegiance to my family and to the Russian Mafia. And like he made it work. What I would rate this movie is I give it about an 8.5.
Really, an 8.5. I mean, I like it a lot. I wouldn't give it that. I definitely give it 7.5. So what'd you give it, Steve?
I'd give it 7.
7? And you said 8?
8.
7. So we're at about 7.5, I'd say.
Right
Then 7.5 for We on the Night. And we're going to take another break. We'll be right back.
Do you or someone you know struggle through life with anxiety-related mental disorders? Ever get that feeling that you are one of the few? I'm here to tell you that you are not alone. Take a journey with me as I talk about key points in my past and how they may have led to me being diagnosed with anxiety and panic disorder. After which, we will talk about different ways to tone down the anxiety and maybe even beat it together on anxiety. The easiest way to remember the name is by thinking about how one searches for a state of zen in the midst of the anxieties of life. My name is Gerald, and I'm the host of Anxiety.
And welcome back on My Real Sharks. Let's roll it back a little bit, though, to 2002's City of God, which is about poverty-stricken Rio de Janeiro. It tells a story of basically two different men who choose two different paths. One chooses to be a photographer and basically record the drug scene and all the drug crime and basically make it be known what's going on, while the other kid basically becomes the drug lord himself. It's actually a decent film. I think it's another one that has aged well. It's, I don't know. I mean, it's
2002, so it's pretty aged.
Yeah, it's an okay film. That's all I'm going to say about it. I mean, it does get a high rating from a lot of people. I know a lot of people that like it too. I just think, again, like A Prophet, I think the cinematography had something to be desired. I didn't like that grittiness to it too much. And I mean, for a 2002 film, I thought it should look better. I don't know. That was just my opinion with that one.
I agree. I know I just said I love the grittiness and it needs it. And I do agree with that, but I also feel like there's like a thin line between too much grit and not enough grit. And this one, I get, you get it. It's also in the 70s, I believe, that this takes place. So that's why they were doing the whole grittiness, and I get it. But I felt like
too much.
It's too much. We got the time, so you should understand that as the audience to be like, it's the 70s, so it's not going to be pristine. They just threw in that extra kind of like, just too much of the grit and grime going on with the film. It almost felt like a grindhouse film. I don't know if anybody else got that from it, but I kind of did. It was a little weird at points. Some of the scene transition, felt a little grindhousey, and I'm like, this isn't really so much as a mobster movie, which it is in a way. It is and it isn't, but I don't know. That's how I kind of felt
watching it.
Here's a movie I think that gets everything it deserves and more. Eastern Promises, 2007. Now, this movie is a fine wine, and I don't say that about most movies. This movie is aging very, 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 very well. Starring Viggo Mortensen and Naomi Watts. Story of the Russian mob in London. And basically, Viggo Mortensen is a guy with ties to the most ruthless crime family in London. Good movie, good cutthroat film. Very, very, very unpredictable. And that's what I like about Eastern Promises. I mean, it is a movie that makes anybody, like The Departed, get into that one. It is a movie that makes you go, whoa, what just happened here? And it came out around the same time as well. So it was a film that kind of had to make itself known among all the other gangster films that were coming out at that time. And I think it did it well. I love Viggo Mortensen. I think Viggo Mortensen is a very underrated actor. Eastern Promises, though, I mean, God, great film.
Yeah, I agree. It was another take. It was weird. I don't know if it was one of those movies I thought, like, are people going to really care about the Russian mob as much as they say they do on this big screen? And it translated really well. Again, you have to kind of take yourself out, because when people think of Mafia movies, they're automatically going into like the Godfather Italian type thing, and you got to think there's so many other mobs that have that are out there.
All right, so what are we going to rank Eastern Promises now?
Oh man,
I'm going to say 8.
That's a good score. I'm going to go fair with a solid 8 as well.
It's a good mob movie, you need to see.
Yeah.
I've seen most of Eastern Promises, and I give it an 8.2.
Nice. Denzel Washington's American Gangster. I like it. Like I said, I like true stories when it comes to mob movies. But this one, I don't know. There's just some aspects of it I just think that were a filler to kind of create a bigger story out of something that was smaller. It just kind of seemed like there was just a lot of time spent and wasted in the movie. I don't know. It wasn't predictable by any means, and that's what made it a good gangster film. The whole rise and fall power, which is good behind any gangster film. The acts that go along with it was good. I don't know. I just felt like it was just kind of it was just missing some aspects of a true gangster movie for me. And that's just my opinion. But I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I would definitely say that the aspect of American Gangster is brilliant when it comes to the gangster movies, because it breaks away from the mold of the gangster movies. Gangster movies were always taught for like true Sicilian blood heritage and going back to the motherland, and they would kill people when they if they got in their way, and they're all about blood and family. But in American Gangster, it was an African American who was a mob boss instead of somebody who was from Sicilian descent or one of the Italian families. And he basically was all about keeping a low profile. He wasn't about killing people. He wasn't about guns and blood. He was really just about moving as much weight as he possibly can. And the downfall was that he relied on his family too much. Actually, in the film, that got him the downfall. It got him to serve prison time. So American Gangster, I don't believe it's overrated. I do believe that, it's Hollywood, so they're going to overfill on some things, because the film shouldn't have been as long as it should have. But I do believe that it's earned its rightful place as one of the greater mob films.
Also, I would agree that the movie was a little bit too long. I think that's what kind of killed it for me. It was good, but not as great as what drew me from the trailer. Because I remember watching the trailer, and the trailer for the movie looked amazing. But when I started watching the movie, there are certain kinds of points in the movie where it just dragged on a little too long. Then I'm like, okay, get on to the next scene. And I think that's a part of it where it kind of just drew me off of it, kind of bore me a little bit. It was just all the talking and just all the nonsense scenes. If they added a little bit more, like how I said, what drew me in was a little more drama, a little more from the Empire. Because, you get to see how he starts bringing heroin in. He goes off to Vietnam during the Vietnam War, and how he sets up his connection. I would have liked to see a little bit more from that side. truth be told.
So overall, what would you guys give American Gangster?
Ooh.